Welcome to the great state of Kansas, known for, well, let's be honest, you probably know us as a flyover state. But today, we're diving into the thrilling world of Kansas security guard licensing. Buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride through bureaucracy and local peculiarities. In Kansas, becoming a security guard isn't just about looking tough and knowing how to handle yourself. Oh no, it's about navigating the labyrinthine process of city and county level licensing. That's right, folks, we're decentralized. From the basics of being at least 18, holding a high school diploma or GED, and having a clean background, to the varied training requirements across different cities, it's a journey like no other. And if you're feeling adventurous and want to arm yourself, well, the plot thickens. But fear not, dear listener. We're here to guide you through the maze. That's right, folks, we're decentralized. Starting with the basics. If you want to be an unarmed security guard, you've got to be 18, have that high school diploma or GED in hand, and be as clean as the Kansas sky, background check-wise. Yes, you heard it right. You're required to be at least 18 years of age to get started. This ensures that you're mature enough to handle the responsibilities that come with the job. And speaking of responsibilities, you'll need a high school diploma or GED. This shows you have the basic educational foundation needed to understand and execute your duties effectively. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, background checks. Kansas takes this very seriously. You need to have a clean record, free from any criminal offenses. This is because security guards are entrusted with the safety of people and property. Any past misdemeanors or felonies could compromise this trust. So keep your background as clean as the Kansas sky. So, you've got the age, the education, and the clean record. What's next? Well, there's more to becoming a security guard than just meeting these requirements. You also need to have good physical health and be mentally fit. After all, you may be required to stand for long periods, deal with stressful situations, and make quick decisions. But what about training, you ask? Well, dear viewer, that's where Kansas throws a curveball. Training requirements are as varied as our lovely weather. One city might require a few hours, another a few days. It's a surprise every time. Training typically covers security procedures, ethics, emergency response, and report writing. Some jurisdictions may also require first aid and CPR training. It's essential to check with your local licensing authority to understand the exact training requirements in your area. Remember, becoming an unarmed security guard is a commitment to safeguarding your community. It requires dedication, integrity, and a willingness to go the extra mile. And it all starts with meeting these basic requirements. But what about training, you ask? Well, dear viewer, that's where Kansas throws a curveball. Training requirements are as varied as our lovely weather. One city might require a few hours, another a few days. It's a surprise every time. Feeling a bit more adventurous? Want to arm yourself? The plot thickens. As we venture into the territory of armed security guards in Kansas, the requirements take a step up. Just like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, you'll need more than just courage to navigate this part of the yellow brick road. Let's start with the basics. You've got to meet all the criteria for an unarmed guard. That means being at least 18, having your high school diploma or GED, and passing a background check. But if you want to carry a firearm, you're going to need to add a few more items to your checklist. First off, you'll need to be at least 21. Why the extra 3 years? Well, it's all about responsibility. Handling a firearm is a serious business, and the state of Kansas wants to ensure you're mature enough to do it safely and responsibly. Next up is additional firearms training. You can't just pick up a gun and call yourself an armed guard. You need to know how to use it. This training will cover everything from basic firearm safety to proper shooting techniques. And remember, each city or county in Kansas may have its own specific training requirements, so be sure to check those out. And finally, you might need a concealed carry permit. This is a permit that allows you to carry a concealed firearm in public. Not all jurisdictions in Kansas require this for armed security guards, but some do. So it's always a good idea to check with your local licensing authority to find out exactly what you need. So, to recap, becoming an armed security guard in Kansas requires meeting the criteria for an unarmed guard, being at least 21, undergoing additional firearms training, and potentially securing a concealed carry permit. It's a bit of a journey, but with the right preparation and determination, you can make it happen. Not only do you need to meet all the criteria for unarmed guards, but you also need to be at least 21, undergo additional firearms training, And if your local jurisdiction deems it necessary, secure a concealed carry permit. Now, let's talk about the exciting world of fees, renewals, and the ever-elusive CCW permits. In Kansas, the pathway to becoming a security guard is as diverse as our landscape, and each city or county has its own unique set of rules. Consider this as your personalized treasure hunt for the right information. Each city or county has its own treasure chest of fees. Some might require a small handful of coins, while others might demand a king's ransom. But don't worry, none of them are asking for pieces of 8 or doubloons, yet. Navigating the renewal process can be as mysterious as a Kansas twister. Some places might require a simple renewal application, while others might ask you to retake your training or even reapply completely. It's a labyrinth of possibilities, so make sure you've got your local map handy. Just when you thought the plot couldn't thicken any further, let's talk about continuing education. Yes, that's right. Some jurisdictions require ongoing training to keep your skills as sharp as a prairie hawk's eye. These requirements are as varied as our state bird's diet, ranging from annual refresher courses to specific training on new legislation or equipment. And for those of you hoping to bring an out-of-state license into Kansas, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Kansas doesn't play ball when it comes to reciprocity agreements. So, if you've been guarding Mount Rushmore or the Golden Gate Bridge, you're going to have to start from scratch here in the Sunflower State. In Kansas, consistency is the enemy. Each city or county has its own treasure chest of fees, its own mystical renewal process, and its own unique continuing education requirements. So while the journey might seem daunting, remember that every great adventure is filled with twists and turns. And who knows, you might just find that the path to becoming a Kansas security guard is one worth taking. But fear not, there are exemptions. Not everyone in Kansas has to jump through the hoops of the licensing process. If you're a law enforcement officer, private detective, or one of a select few others, you may be exempt. That's right, you might just be able to sidestep the licensing hullabaloo altogether. But remember, these exemptions are not a free pass. They come with their own set of requirements and expectations, so be sure to do your research. Now, let's switch gears and talk about license revocation. Picture this. You've navigated the labyrinth of licensing, you've paid your fees, you've done your training, and you're out there guarding the grain. But then, something happens. Maybe you commit a felony, get caught up in drug offenses, or perhaps you're simply deemed unprofessional. Well, in Kansas, any of these can lead to your security guard license being revoked. That's right, folks, stripped away, just like that. Remember, a license revocation isn't just a slap on the wrist, it's a serious setback. It's not only a matter of losing your job and your income, it's also a stain on your professional record that can make it tough to get back into the security field. So let's make it clear, if you want to keep your license, you've got to keep your nose clean. And here's something else to chew on. Once your license is revoked, getting it back isn't as simple as saying sorry. There's a whole other process you'll need to go through, and it's not for the faint of heart. You might even have to wait a significant period of time before you can reapply. So, let's wrap this up with a friendly reminder. Being a security guard in Kansas is not just about standing tall and looking tough. It's about responsibility, professionalism, and understanding the local licensing laws. It's about being ready to navigate the twists and turns of the licensing process and knowing what can lead to its revocation. And remember, losing your license in Kansas is like forgetting your tornado drill. It can have devastating consequences. Licenses can be revoked for all the usual fun stuff: felonies, drug offenses, or even just being deemed unprofessional. So, what's the moral of the story? We've navigated the highs and lows of becoming a security guard in Kansas. From the basic requirements of being at least 18 with a clean background, to the varied training requirements across cities and counties. We've also delved into the more adventurous route of arming yourself, which comes with its own set of criteria and demands. And let's not forget the exciting world of fees, renewals, and the elusive concealed carry permits. Remember, Kansas doesn't play Monopoly. There are no reciprocity agreements with other states, but there are exemptions. Some professions might just get to skip the licensing hoopla. As you embark on this journey, ensure you're prepared not just for a physical journey across the plains, but also a thrilling ride through local licensing laws. Contact your local city or county licensing authority for the most accurate and up-to-date information. And who knows? Along the way, you might just find that Kansas is more than a flyover state. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more guard guides, and be safe.